All right, Big Waz is here. We're taping this 12:30 Thursday afternoon. Last time I saw you, we were doing the league pass rankings.
Yep.
And trying to figure out who we like the most, who we were the most excited to watch. What's changed for you since the season has started? Has there been a team jump out? Has there been somebody that captured your fancy? Has there been a new league pass mistress for you that you didn't expect to be cheating on with some of the other favorites?
Yeah, and I owe a big apology to Justin Verrier. It's the Chicago Bulls.
Look at
Verrier
you.
thought the Bulls were going to be fun and Josh Giddey was going to have this new role and DeMar DeRozan was going to open things up. But, they've been way better than I could have expected. Obviously, they beat the Knicks last night on a crazy last-second foul on a three-point shot. But they're just so well coached.
Kobe White's hair got fouled.
I know.
I really think that's what happened. I thought he hit his hair. I've never seen that before.
That is what happened.
I don't think he actually fouled him.
But, he airballed the shot to make it look like he got hit pretty bad. But, it's Kobe White. It's Zach LaVine, who I don't know if he's found clarity in his role on the Bulls or if he's really dying to get traded.
Yeah.
Because he was so unhappy this offseason. I just thought, they lost their most consistent player in DeRozan. Zach LaVine has been sulking for a year and a half.
Yeah.
They're bringing in Josh Giddey, ushering a kind of youth movement kind of thing. I just thought they would stink, and it's been the opposite. And Vucevic has been playing some of the best ball of his career. He's taking and making threes. The guy looks rejuvenated. They've been, to me, the team that has kind of jumped off the screen. Wow, I thought you guys were going to be horrible, and you're way better.
They're 5-7, which sounds like it's bad, but that's the 6th seed right now in the East.
Eastern Conference.
I'm with you. I was thinking about it last night, watching that Knicks game. Everything they seemed like they wanted to do on paper, including pick up the pace, play with some pizzazz. It's all happening. I think they're a really, really frisky 5-7 team.
Yeah.
And LaVine, I know, I get it. He was upset about whatever's got. I don't know what he's upset about. He's certainly got an amazing contract. But you watched him last night against the Knicks, and my thought was, this is actually a great situation for him.
Yeah.
He's got guards that push the ball that are Giddey's pretty unselfish, right? Kobe White, I don't think is a Trae Young monopolize the ball type guy. And just seems like LaVine's in a nice spot.
Yeah.
And what stuck out to me yesterday, they win the game on that weird Kobe White foul, get the Brunson toilet bowl in and out to win it. But you watch the way their bench was celebrating. It actually seems like they liked each other.
Yeah.
Last year it did not.
No, it was, last year was toxic as hell by all indication when you talk to people who was in and around the team at that time. And I think with Vucevic and Patrick Williams, who I'm still whoa, what were they thinking with that contract?
Yeah, he's one of those, what do you do?
I don't know if it's the 3 or the
What's
D.
your specialty?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. But he's been a more willing shooter.
Yeah.
And with Vucevic finally being a stretch 4, LaVine is playing with a really spaced out floor in front of him. And the guy is really talented. He's not this year he's not been afraid to take it to the basket. And there were just some isolation plays last night in the fourth quarter where it just felt like the Knicks had no chance against Zach LaVine, which when's the last time you've said that about Zach LaVine? He looks incredible. And then, the Knicks...
Wait, hold on Zach LaVine.
Sure.
Because I want to talk about the Knicks. I was thinking about him, Brandon Ingram.
Yeah.
I think Trae Young's about to be in this boat. These guys that got these
Julius
big deals.
Randle.
Julius Randle. These guys that are being paid like they're superstars. They do put up production. And yet there's not a market for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of the second apron. Kirk Goldsberry was talking about it on my pod on Tuesday. It's changed the dynamic of roster building, of how we think about players, where you take somebody like Brandon Ingram, who was available all summer for anybody who wanted to offer anything, and they couldn't trade him. Now he's scoring 23, 24 a game. Zach LaVine, same thing. And we're moving into this new era of these guys that it's well, this is my price. I don't want to pay that. I'm stuck with you, but you're still producing.
Yeah.
I don't remember another era like this. The only time I can think was that 2000s when guys were getting those 6-7 year deals. And you would just be I guess we have Allen Houston now for the entire decade.
Yeah, I think that's the difference between now and 2011 or 12, which is like when I first became a regular on League Pass. It was like whoever the Bulls were, when they decided that they were going to stink up the joint, they were going to have basically 3 rotation-worthy guys in the starting lineup, and everybody else was kind of going to be like, okay, this team is headed for 17 wins.
Yeah.
They're playing the lottery game and whatever. Nowadays, like the Bulls, we expected to be a bottom 4 Eastern Conference team, but because they haven't gotten rid of, like they would have sold off Vucevic, they would have sold off LaVine, they would have sold everything off. But now because they kept those guys, like they're just not a given win. There's no like given wins. And then even the Wizards on some nights are frisky. And I think
Brooklyn's another one.
Brooklyn's
Charlotte,
another one. Yeah, like there's
Toronto.
There's no process Sixers, is what I always say. Like that process Sixers team where Michael Carter Williams was leading that team in scoring for an entire season. That was insane.
And we were like, he's not good. And he like won the Rookie of the Year. It's like, well, he's 20 points a game.
Exactly.
You know, this is a really interesting point. Can you have tanking when there's too much talent in the league? Because I think about that with Brooklyn. I watched Brooklyn. I saw them in person on Friday. I talked about it on the pod. Watched them yesterday. The Celtics played really well and beat them, and they played one of their best games. But I watched Brooklyn, and I'm like, I know they wanted to be terrible. It's going to be really hard to be terrible with some of the guys in this team. Like, Schroeder is a above average point guard. Yeah. Cam Johnson's good. Cam Thomas is a 28-a-game guy now. They have shot blocking. Yeah. This is not like in 2013-14 when you could just be like, yeah, we're going to throw a year away. Like, think about what the Lakers had during the last couple Kobe years where it was like, here's Kobe and nobody else.
Yeah. It's so different. And I don't know. I don't know if it's just the talent. Like, these dudes have just come out and played with a lot of pride. Like, just quite frankly.
Do you think it's social media? Like, I wonder if it's just hard to suck now because if you suck
with the fantasy and the gambling aspect, that might play a part, man.
I feel like it's social media because I was thinking about this. Vince Carter got his number retired in Toronto, and I was just thinking how fucking crazy that is.
Yeah,
that
where he started.
Because I was writing for ESPN back then, and he completely tanked on them that year to the point
I was reading those columns.
Yeah, he tanked on them to the point that the trade that they made for him is probably the worst superstar trade anyone's made. Yeah. They had to like take back Alonzo Mourning's contract and a couple other bad contracts. They got 2 shitty picks. It was like a 20 cents in the dollar giveaway, and it was because he stopped playing for them. But we didn't have the apparatus we have now to be like, oh my God, did you see what Vince Carter did last night? Like, he just didn't give a shit. I don't feel like anybody can do that now.
Yeah, but I mean, it's really hard to explain why none of these teams have come out and been, just dog shit. And again, it's early. Like, nobody's had.
I guess the dog shit team has probably been Philly.
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry, Chris Ryan, but
they stink.
But there's a reason for it.
No, there's a reason for it, but they still stink.
Yeah, they've been god awful.
Well, think about the other day, D'Angelo Russell had that play in the corner, and whatever he did, he got his 3-pointer blocked. He did some stupid step back, and the camera showed JJ so fucking mad, and he sat down. He just sat in his thing, and he was like a parent mad at a kid. And even that, so now he's like, well, that'll never happen again because he just saw the video of it. It became a big deal the next day. He's like, I can't do that anymore. Yeah. I just think there's a lot of checks and balances now for bad basketball, lazy basketball, lethargic basketball, people who don't give a shit, people going through the motions. I don't know if you can do it anymore.
And I think what's crazy too is that like the NBA, because of how they handled some of this load management stuff, have been...
How did they handle it?
Poorly. They've been so effective in messaging that the regular season doesn't matter. This isn't real basketball. Playoffs where things really start and people are playing hard. Yeah. That's not been the case to start the season. Like every single one of these games feels like super competitive. People are playing like the people aren't playing with super low motors. There's some teams that are like seem to have a bit of a hangover. I think Denver started the first 4 games of the season with a bit of a hangover. Minnesota's hangover has been extended.
Minnesota's not just hungover. They're like they're like lying in bed with the shades drawn.
Yeah, they still can't drive.
Yeah, they're like, oh man,
they're way over
get
the
me
legal limit still. Yeah, 100%. But for the most part, man, teams have come out and been playing out the gates. Like OKC feels like they got something to prove. prove.
Cleveland.
Phoenix, I got something to prove. Cleveland, I mean, my God, they've come out like gangbusters, and it's made the regular season excellent for it.
I'm going to read you some of the 2013-14 Sixers. Leading scorer, Evan Turner.
Wow.
Michael Carter-Williams, your rookie of the year, shooting .264 from three and 40% from the field. Thad Young was our number 3. Spencer Hawes.
Oh my God.
Number 5, James Anderson, playing 29 minutes a game, 80 games. Who was James Anderson? I was on a studio show that year, and I don't remember who James Anderson was. James Anderson. He went to first round pick from the. I remember him. Okay. Henry Sims. Tony Rotten.
Yeah.
Tony Roten.
I was a Tony Roten apologist in those days.
Hollis Thompson. Lavoy Allen was their 9th man, but this is our point. Like, you look at the 9th man now in the Nets. The game I went to Friday, like Jalen Wilson's coming in. I'm like, this guy's good.
Yeah.
Should he play more?
That Sixers team would challenge the Bobcats in terms of worst win. If they played this season, in terms of worst win-loss record ever. And the teams just aren't that horrible. And some of it, like you said, is the second apron where, contenders, I think in a different era, Golden State would have they would have said, you know what? Instead of doing the Melton and Buddy Hield to replace Clay, we're going to pull the trigger on Zach LaVine in a different era.
Yeah.
But now with like all of the salary constraints.
The Lakers would already probably have him.
100%. And maybe they're keeping the powder dry for Trae Young. Who knows? But yeah, it's just a different era, man. 2014
Bucks, who were 15-67. Brandon Knight led the team in scoring.
Whew.
Ramon Sessions was second. Remember him?
God.
A young Chris Middleton third. Ilyasova, John Henson, OJ Mayo, Larry Sanders, hey now, playing 20 games. But man. And then young Giannis was just that was great for young Giannis.
Larry Sanders is pissed right now. KD smokes weed openly in public.
Yeah, Larry Sanders I tried this. Why didn't it work for me?
They kicked me out the league for this.
Yeah, so if you think about the actual bad teams, Toronto's probably fundamentally the worst team, but then Scotty Barnes can come back, and who knows?
And they're competitive on a lot of nights.
Too.
Yeah,
they can rebound, they can shoot threes. The other thing is we didn't talk about the threes. This is the first season the threes are 40% of the shots that everyone takes.
Yeah,
that's just the variance that comes from that. You just never know.
Yeah, the threes is always. It's been a sort of, less talented teams. You want to up your variance factor with the threes. Everybody's kind of known this for 7-8 years now. But
everyone's doing it.
The discipline with which coaches are actually able to enforce it is different now. It's just better infrastructure to make sure. Because it's one thing to say, we're going to play with pace. We're going to, we're going to shoot the 3-point shot. We're going to encourage as many threes as we can. But to actually coach it and get your guys to be doing it consistency, to go against their instinct to dribble, shoot a long two, is different.
You were going to mention the Knicks.
What about them?
I miss last year's Knicks. I miss Hartenstein. I miss Dante.
Yeah.
They were just more fun to watch last year. And I know they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
The Towns has been incredible.
Yep.
Brunson's not been as good.
Yep.
They're 5 at the end of games, which it seems like it's a little better offensively, but it's definitely worse defensively.
Yeah.
And the rim protection isn't there in the same way. And there's a bunch of it. Now that we have a sample size, some of the advanced stats are this isn't really the profile of a Tibbs team.
No.
So what are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, the Karl Towns rim protection, we knew that was going to be a problem coming into the season. And we just talked about this on group chat with Rob and Justin. Mikal Bridges is getting smoked on defense. He's just not been a deterrent at all. And again, OG Anunoby.
You can't mention this to the Knicks fans.
Well, listen.
I mentioned last week, I was like, what was the point of trading 5 firsts for this guy if he's going to shoot 13 times a game? But the other side has been interesting too.
I think the scoring is going to come. I think he's going to learn what spots to pick, when to attack, when to just let it fire.
Didn't you think they'd give him the ball more and just have run through more stuff with him? I guess the Towns Brunson pick and roll is so good that
they can't afford to because their defense is so bad.
Yeah.
Like, if you're getting cooked, you kind of have to look at your best player and say, yo, we need points right now. If they were stopping people, then they would be a lot more patient about who gets to do what on offense. But when, like, you're constantly having to put out fires because you just gave up, 10 points in a row, like, at a certain point you got to give it to Brunson. What I'm encouraged by is that the Towns and Brunson pick and roll is clearly difficult to deal with.
It's a nightmare.
They're putting defenses in a bind because Brunson, unlike a lot of these star point guards, can beat a center on a switch. Like Halliburton's been having trouble with it this year. Brunson, as soon as you put a big man on him, he's killing that guy. And if you, God forbid, you drop on freaking Karl Towns, like that's a nightmare. And so I like that that's already started to figure itself out.
Wait, can we say one thing about Towns?
Sure.
He's been kind of a winner of the season because he's been, I think, better offensively than anybody could have ever expected on the Knicks. And then Minnesota feels worse.
Minnesota's definitely worse.
Oh, we missed Towns. Like, I feel like this has been a win all the way around for Towns. And then instead of the Knicks fans being mad at Towns for whatever, they can just now be mad at Bridges.
Yes.
So he wins. He wins it every way.
Look, I think the Bridges thing is everybody's in a patient wait and see moment. It's been 11 games. I'm not crazy worried about it.
I do wonder if you stop playing defense for you're just on bad teams for 2 years. Like, I wonder if you have to get back in the hang of what it's like to be on a really good team playing defense.
It's not just that, though. It's like when guys start conceiving themselves as 20-point per game scorers, and all of a sudden it's like, no, you're back to being that role guy that you were in Phoenix. And it's like, no, I was the ball in Brooklyn. I was like a
Can I show you a YouTube clip of my game winners?
No, he got to get back to what he was doing in Phoenix for sure.
If you truth serum them, I wonder what they would say about the whole Giannis piece of this.
I know you saw the graphic last night where they showed all of the picks that the Knicks sent out to bring Bridges in.
A couple of them were good picks.
Yeah, decent.
We didn't know that this whatever that Bucks pick, which is so complicated, where New Orleans gets it if it's 1 through 4, and now Brooklyn gets it if it's everything else. But I think the Bucks are a 500 or worse team. If anything happens to Giannis for a month, that team's going to be a bottom 5 team in the league. They're pulling these games out of their assholes.
Well, it's like they've won 3 games.
Well, but the one yesterday,
yeah, that was a miracle. Guy
gets fouled with the second left. He just has to go 1 or 2 and the game's over, and he bricks both of them. And then Giannis wins an OT. I like what they like. The next thing, if we're going to be rational about it, the Towns thing has been a huge win. All the other stuff is explainable. Robinson is going to come back. There's probably some sort of buyout guy they can get in February to replace some of the DiFrancesco because it feels like there's a lot on McBride. And then the Brunson, I know he hasn't been quite as good and efficient as last year, but I also feel like teams have been watching this now for a couple of years. It's like Jalen Hurts on the Eagles, where it's like, oh, I know what this is.
How to play a new way. Like, this is a completely reconstructed offense. Like, that he hasn't been completely comfortable yet. I don't think it's the biggest deal. I just think it's scary that missing Mitchell Robinson and Precious Achiuwa is this damaging to your team. That's a bad sign so far. But again, I think it's pretty early. And right now they're 20th in defensive efficiency.
Just stunning.
That down to 13.
But that's the bigger
14?
question to me is this the right Tibbs team? Is this a Tibbs team the way it's currently constructed? Or is this maybe somebody else with the car keys?
I think if Tibbs is worth what he thinks he is, then he needs to also adjust. Players have to adjust. Coaches should adjust.
Can I do a PSA for the other 29 teams? When the Knicks have the ball with 3 seconds or less and they need to score, they're going to throw it to Jalen Brunson in the corner. He's going to pretend to go left, and then he's going to do a follow-away jump shot. I'm just telling you that's what's going to happen. You can pretend to bite on the going left, but then dive forward when he's doing the turnaround. That's his move. It works every time. Do these guys have tape?
It's tough in the moment, Bill.
It's like Tatum. Here's what Tatum's going to do. He's going to dribble through his legs 7 times, and then when there's 2 seconds left, he's going to do a step back 26-footer. We know all these moves. LeBron, he has a specific spot on the court. He's going to shoot a 3 from there. He's going to make you think he's going to the basket. Hop
the
back.
Akron step back.
Yeah. There's some guys that you know what they're going to do. And then there's other guys like Durant where I'm like, I have no idea what he's going to do. He's going to go right. He's going to pull up. He's going to do the turnaround move.
Brunson's, he's going to try to create space with the little shoulder fade.
He's got to be so hard to guard because I think they know what he's doing and he still he's got a little
Luka in him in terms of the stop and start. Like, he's not the fastest, but he can get accelerated faster than everybody else and decelerate faster than everybody else. Yeah, it's not easy from the couch, Bill. That's what they would tell you.
Well, you know what's I think the secret hardest move is the Luka 2-on-1 when he slows down and then almost makes it like a low post move.
Yeah.
Where he's got momentum, but he stops and the guy's like also playing the pass and then Luka just I'm just going to bounce off you and hit
against the Warriors the other night.
I don't even know what that move is, but I feel like he's perfected it.
And I'm like, that's Draymond Green, one of the best defensive players in my life, and he can't even stop it. It is weird.
Are you scared of the Cavs?
The Cavs, man, listen, I know like every single smart NBA person, you guys included on the over-unders, had the Cavs over Kenny Atkinson winning Coach of the Year. And I was like, yeah, they're going to play better. They're going to be way healthier this year. But like, I don't know. They kind of took off last year when their guys weren't playing.
Yeah.
But Kenny Atkinson has been smart about deploying the lineups, letting Mobley play center at times, being the lone big. He's gotten these guys to understand like the importance of spacing. And they're like Niang, for instance, this guy is completely unconscious. Like he shoots with the green light of a freaking Kevin Durant at certain points. And Donovan Mitchell, God bless him, he's getting off of the ball a lot faster than he has at any other time in his career. That's always been my biggest criticism of him, is that he doesn't see the floor as well as a lot of the guys that I think are a little bit better than him. But this year, he's seeing it. They're believing it. And I think there's something to everybody feeling like they have ownership of the offense, which Atkinson, he spent some time in Golden State with Steve Kerr. We make fun of Steve Kerr a lot of times with his hippy-dippy, like the ball finds energy shit. But Atkinson has brought it.
Hippy-dippy.
That's what it feels like to me. It feels like he's on a commune when he's saying some of that stuff. But like Atkinson has brought that ethos to Cleveland, and they've been way better for it.
And he brought Ty Jerome because he knew Ty Jerome was good from like 2 years ago.
Revelation.
It's like when the guy Dan Quinn went from Dallas to Washington. He took like a couple Dallas guys with him. He's like, I know this guy's pretty good. I'll grab this guy too. I'm 100% in on the Cavs being real. I don't think there's any fluky shit at all. It totally made, from the first, second, third game, you could see it. And I talked about it before, but there's like a charitableness now with Mitchell and Garland.
Yeah.
I don't think Mitchell cares if he doesn't have the ball in the last minute anymore. I felt like he did last year. And I think Garland did a little bit too. I just feel like they've sorted out something, and then, they can defend. They can switch. They have a bench. If as Celtic fan, they're on my radar because I thought we would have the 1 seed unless somebody got hurt. Now it's like this team's, I think it's going to be tough to steal the 1 seed from them. You start out 14-0, 15-0. Like, just think about it logically. For the rest of the way, you just have to go like 45 and 18 or whatever. It's not the same pace to get to 60.
Yeah.
And the Celtics are going to have trouble getting to 60.
And if you look at the Eastern Conference standings right now, a lot of teams are going to have trouble getting to 50. It's crazy how these things flip because, there was all this smoke around Donovan Mitchell for years that he was not long for Cleveland.
Yeah.
He ends up doing his extension. Shams puts out that report that Garland's representation might
I forgot about that. Yeah.
If Mitchell's still on the team because he feels like he's not being optimized. They bring in Kenny Atkinson and shit, man. Everything sort of flips and everybody has this level of buy-in. It's just so crazy how things can turn on a dime in this league. Because
Kenny calls him and he's like, I'm going to optimize your shit. Just bear with me, buddy.
They've bought in this. And they look so much better for it. And like I said, before it did feel like a your turn, my turn situation.
It did.
With Mitchell and Garland, where I'm just like, man, these guys have complementary games. They both can shoot, both can drive it. They should be elevating what each other do. And this year's the first time in that partnership that I actually feel like it's happening, and it's been exciting to watch.
I'm good at very few things. I can spot toupees. I can make meatballs.
That's like me with BBLs.
I can spot the your turn, my turn.
Yeah.
I'm just attuned. I've been watching basketball my whole life.
Facts.
You know it when you see it. You know when it's not perfect.
Look at when Tatum and Brown got rid of that dynamic, where they now elevate what each other do, where back in the days we were like, oh, these guys are too duplicative. Yeah. Like, we might have to move one, blah, blah, blah. Now these guys actually play off of each other.
I always believe
that is a freaking lie.
Oh, I always believed in my guys. No, I think you can tell the difference between your turn, my turn, competitive versus elevation.
Yeah.
And now I feel like those guys elevate each other, which is a boring topic for a podcast or a YouTube video or an NBA countdown segment, but it's what's happening. That team's playing super unselfish. And then you watch a team like Philly, when Embiid comes back and how they have to navigate.
It's going to take some time.
How do you take care of Embiid? How does Paul George make sure he's involved enough? Oh, wait, there's Maxey too. Oh, there's Jared McCain, who's might be the rookie of the year if he could just get playing minutes. How do you navigate all this stuff?
He's got to beat out Eric Gordon.
And what happens? Right. And what happens with zombie Nick Nurse? Does he ever turn back into Toronto Nick Nurse, or is he just zombie Nick Nurse now?
I mean, Nick Nurse did a great job last year. I think the Sixers definitely overperformed most of our expectations. Maybe the playoffs wasn't ideal.
Playoffs are pretty rough.
They overperformed most of our expectations. And I think which we can be bullish about
is you're in the Nick Nurse Kool-Aid drinking camp.
I'm just saying last year they were good.
wasn't on my research.
Last year they were good. The thing is, Embiid, I know a lot of people killed him for saying, I don't care about MVP. It's about the playoffs. It's about winning. I like that for a team that's trying to incorporate Paul George, that has Maxey who's ascendant. I like the idea that he's not going to feel the onus to dominate every possession like he traditionally has for the team basically his entire career. And so that's a good sign. I think they're going to be straight. You know what I mean? When Embiid isn't beating dudes up in the locker room for writing bad columns. And,
here's the thing.
The guys.
Yabusele and McCain are guys who could play in a playoff series.
Oh, yeah.
So, when they're operating on the fringes and you're picking out of the lottery, you're trying to take flyers on dudes, and usually it doesn't work out. And it seems like both of those guys, I feel like, could be in a top 7 on a good team.